And now we move on to the big show today, and it's Women in Business. And to do the introduction is David Bossman. David, want to take it away?
I'll take it away. Can you hear me?
Too far. Just okay.
Hello? Hello?
Hello, we hear you.
We hear you. We hear
Okay.
you.
Okay, setting it up. I had the unfortunate experience of having to deal with three women. Three beautiful women, by the way. Beautiful inside and outside. I'm going to make this very short because we're limited on time. We're dividing this program into three parts. I think this is only the second time in my memory, and I've been around this club since its beginning, that we've done a panel. So we're going to try this again. We haven't done it for a few years. I'm going to introduce each of the three women. Most of you have read the write-up, and so you know a little bit about their history. They're going to fill in some of the blanks. That's going to be part one. Part two is going to be intercommunication between the three of them. We'll probably only have time for one major question, which is going to deal with empowerment. And then part three, you in the audience will be there. Terry was good enough to volunteer and bring along her old index cards. Terry will be handing out index cards to you in a little while. If you don't have a question, don't take an index card. Write your question. It could be in English or Spanish, preferably English, on there. And Terry will select the questions, and Terry will take over that part of the meeting. Okay. So let me start by telling you about these three lovely ladies. Paulina Gallardo. Paulina is a new friend of mine. Well, new in the last year. Paulina is very well known. Okay, she's kind of a celebrity in San Miguel. She's not only a Rotarian from the other club, okay, muy importantes, 5 or 6 years. She is a member of the Ayuntamiento, which is the equivalent of our city council, okay. She represents the PAN party on the Ayuntamiento. She has been involved in a lot of organizations, but what she's going to be talking about today is probably the thing that most women in San Miguel, certainly my wife, knows best, and that is San Miguel shoes. Okay. Or should I say her family, the Gallardo family, are known for it. And we remember very well her wonderful mother, Martha. And perhaps Paulina will talk more about it. So why don't we start off and let Paulina talk a little bit about San Miguel shoes, her business. Each of these people know, these women know that they're only going to be talking for 5 minutes, and then somebody's going to cut them. So 5 minutes, Paulina.
I am so glad to be here. Thank you, Rotary Midday Club, for the opportunity to give me some of your precious time to share with you my business experience as a woman in Mexico. My name is Paulina Gallardo López, a happy mom of a beautiful girl, and studied business administration at the University of León and graduated back on 2006 with a quality master's in business. I currently study business because I see on my daily basis. My great taste mentor was my father, who taught me how to love constant work without failure, who shared with the retail feedback, how to be close and listen to my human resource, and the most importantly, how to export the shoes, my company, San Miguel Shoe, to the other countries. The last thing is my ultimate passion, to explore and get to know the magic behind the countries that are interested in my products. Since 2015, we export to 9 different countries. A deal with a client's a personal basis, from showing product samples to marketing, campaigns, all the way to logistics. Plus, my clients visit San Miguel de Allende, and I am always the host them and get making they fell in love with our gorgeous city. As of today, I have a great business team. In the board of directors, I have my sister Marisol, who's us in charge for launching new designs and collections, as well to manage suppliers and to attend all the committees. My brother Jesus is in charge to the production, a key aspect of our company. My homework on a daily basis is to cultivate happiness with all my brand's ambassadors that work face behind San Miguel's shoe. This is crucial as they are in a charge of creating comfortable shoes, not just for women, but for men and kids too. My greatest challenge is China, a country that produces millions of shoes. But since 1992, we believe we want to do at our factory is a great product that brings great results. This is not a look, rather the results. It's our fight and pride of what we do every day. We satisfy the most demanding marketing. Dealing with the new potential customer is great way to grow and become stronger. My mom has had always been there for me, even in the hardest situation. She becomes my trust inspiration that kitchen my thirst in a new clients. She nourished my leadership skills. She was a tenacious woman. We are 87 souls at my company with new business lessons every single day, gaining lots of experience, including great economy losses due to a pandemic, but also gaining terrain in the export business with a high sales nationwide in the United States. Now it's very important to me be constantly updated regarding production, technology, the status of the local and the global markets to know my competition and to have great communication skills between myself and production worker, my banker, my accountant, my legal team, every single one, my brand ambassadors, including the cleaning staff. We are all part of this dream. We are all part of the great legacy, and every one of us is well aware of this comment. Everyone should know that San Miguel de Allende has a shoe factory that creates and maintains jobs and develops work talents that functions, and as important, the local economy, my manufacturing products that are sending world away. This is something to make very proud and happy. We are always thinking how to become better and to keep our company alive. For the last 6 years, I have been part of the local Rotary Club. I was president of the Chamber of Commerce of San Miguel de Allende 2018-2020. I'm now president of the Consejo Coordinador Empresarial CCE. And now I am volunteer of the DIF and the fire department. And I am also a sport junkie. As now I serve to my city as a regidora, part of the current government. Thank you, David Bosman, for invitation to the expat community for bringing great benefits to my city. Viva Rotary.
She was worried about her English pronunciation. Isn't that beautiful? Did a great job. Paulina is one of those people, she does everything 110%. Our next person I've known here and there for, well, almost as long as she's been in our city. Fran, Yano, Lory, and she's got her family right here, is originally from Mexico City. Most of you know her as Miss Paprika, okay? How many people have been to Paprika? There you go, okay? She's got a lot of fans here. She's done amazing things. She'll tell you a little bit about it. She started it as a restaurant, but it's become more of an entertainment center. And I must say personally, Fran, that you have done amazing things for culture in San Miguel. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, Fran Yano.
Hi, everybody. Will stay. It's okay if I stay seat? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, the mic.
Oh, yeah, the microphone is
Yeah.
important, right? Yeah, okay, the microphone. Okay, well, first of all, I want to say thank you. Thank you. This is a really nice experience for me, be with you all. I was not sure if I will be in town today because I'm going back and forward to Mexico City, but I'm very happy I could be here with you all. I was thinking in the first thing that Peter read about the impact that we do in the world. And for me, on Paprika, it had a big impact in my life. And I think it caused impact in the community and the musicians. And one of the things that I can share, like when I started Paprika, I visualized like a place with happy smiles and happy people in the community. I was thinking, create a space for the community. Like many people told me like, oh, you need to go to the hotels and put cards. I never did that. Still, I never did that. I don't know. I think it becomes very natural to me be focused in the community because it's the place that I live. And I mean, I'm very happy people come for Mexico City and other countries to visit town, but Paprika is becoming little by little more a place in the community, like people that live here, the people that we know each other, that I see you in the supermarket, and then I saw you walking in the street. And it's like, you know, like be part of the community because it's where I live. So little by little, it was, I can say like very grateful with Bobby Kaplan. He was my friend before Paprika. He's a great musician. And when I opened Paprika, he started to tell me about have live music. And in the beginning, was not, I mean, I never thought about it. It was just like, oh, I want to open a restaurant. I have the experience to manage a restaurant in Mexico City. My sister is a chef and she owned her own restaurant many years ago. So I work with her and I have the experience in restaurants, but not in present live music. So when Bobby told me, I was like, okay, yeah. But he was like, I come and play here. And I was like, okay. And then he started to bring like these great musicians like Gabriel Hernandez and other musicians I didn't even have idea. And it's been an adventure for me. I think when I start to see people smiling, like with the music and like crying sometimes, like, you know, like very emotional, like, and like I always say, because sometimes people is like, oh, when the musicians play at my place, they're like, oh, thank you, Fran. And I always say, and I really mean it, like, thank you all, because I think Paprika, we all create together. I cannot make it without you. I cannot make it without the musicians. I cannot make it without the magic in town. I really feel like this town have very real magic. And I think that all that we live here, we really have some impact in our community. Like now that I'm checking all what you guys do, like the Rotaries, like all the things that you have, like all the projects that you're sharing, like I'm like, oh, wow. Like I knew that you were very proactive, but now I can see better. Like, and actually it's like, it's like I feel like, oh yeah, I want to participate. I'm always I always like give service, like in one way or other is one of my personal part of my life. Like Paprika is one part of my life, but my family is another part of my life. My spiritual practice is another part of my life, and service is very important for me, like in the practical way to give something back to the community that we all are part. So maybe, I don't know, I didn't wrote nothing. I was feeling like, oh, maybe I need to write something. But, I'm pretty much like that, no? Like I like make plans, yes, but like life show me many times, like my plans doesn't matter, like life surprised me every day. Like sometimes I present like and that is pretty much what I learned with Paprika. Like sometimes I don't have idea how it's gonna be a new show, and it's great, like sometimes I don't have idea if people will come or not, and then it's like sold out, and it's like, wow, like, or sometimes it's not, but it's still like, even if we have like one table, because sometimes happen in some shows, they just like maybe two people, can be the best concert for those two people. And the musicians, like the musicians really enjoy when it's like a sold out house, but they also enjoy when it's few people, because they're like, oh yeah, I feel very special, like, because those two people, they were like screaming and laughing. And so it's been a very nice journey. I'm very grateful with many people that are here, and especially with David, because since I opened Paprika, I always remember you around and supporting me and all what you do for the community with more security and all that. And like Ron Lennox has been big part, also Ron, like all your support always, the discovery is like great, because it's like other calendars in town, but I need to send the information and he do all that himself. So it's been really good help and support for me, and many people here that are present, I really care, like Tony and Peter Buffet, like I really like feel like San Miguel is like a big family, and the culture in our lives, I think, is very important. Like culture, music, art are food for the soul, for the heart. It's like life without music is like, sometimes I'm like, no, life without music, like Paprika is like no Paprika without music. We all know that, no? So very grateful to be here. Thank you for listening me and your presence and all what you do. Thank you for your impact in the world.
It occurred to me after I introduced her that many of you know Paprika because you pick up your mail there, or did. Now it's moved over. Our third person is probably the most nervous of the three. I don't know why, because the family, Cynthia Kulander's family has been around San Miguel since the 70s. Or the 60s?
No, forever.
Forever.
San Miguel people.
Okay.
Right.
Very few of you know Casa Carmen because you have your own houses here. But Casa Carmen was and will always be the very first B&B in San Miguel.
Don't steal my speech.
Okay. I've known her for a long time. She's been a big supporter of Rotary, and
Okay.
as a matter of fact, tell you a secret, Cynthia is thinking of joining our club. I will not steal any more of your thunder. Cynthia Kulander.
Well, thank you, David Bossman, first of all, for inviting me to this women's panel of the Rotary
I think you better
Club.
move the mic over.
No, that's fine.
I see.
Yeah, you got it? Okay.
See? Okay.
Okay, thank you. As a soon-to-be member of the Rotary Club, I would like to tell you briefly about my past, my background. I have to read. I'm not a public speaker. I was born in Detroit, Michigan, but was raised in San Miguel de Allende. My mother met my dad, Raymond, while he came to town, excuse me, to study at the Instituto Allende with the GI Bill. They fell in love, but he suffered post-traumatic stress syndrome from the war. Sometimes.
Hold on 1 second. Got to move that microphone.
There's another one here. Thank you.
Try that.
Anyway,
Thank you.
they fell in love, but he suffered post-traumatic stress syndrome from the war, something that was not understood at the time, and thus the marriage dissolved. This left my mom heartbroken and needing to take care of her 3 small children. She decided to go back home here, San Miguel. I was only 3 years old. Being a divorced woman, my grandmother, Carmen Barajas, did not welcome her. Divorce was not socially accepted at that time, and this is more conservative known. Nevertheless, my grandmother was able to change her point of view through the years. In the meantime, my mom had to quickly decide what to do to support herself and her 3 children. Devastated, but not defeated, she searched within her capabilities, and since she was a great cook, without fear, she decided to open a bed and breakfast. To honor her mother, she named her business Casa Carmen. It became the first B&B back in 1958, but you already know that because David Bosman already told you. Things started to take shape quickly. Mr. Nava, the owner of Farmacia Santa Teresita, rented her a small house on Recreo Street that had 6 rooms. I will never figure out how she did it and still kept her sanity. She raised 3 brats, cooked, offering 3 meals a day to her guests, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and managed Casa Carmen. It soon became her passion to serve, and therefore the reason of her success. She became my role model of an empowered woman. It never ceases to amaze me how sometimes hardships become blessings. I don't know about you or anybody, but it's amazing. My grandmother, Carmen Barajas, was a well-known nurse and midwife of the town, way long time ago. Her brother, Antonio Barajas, was a chronicler and historian of the town. He wrote an important book to honor General Don Ignacio de Allende, where he narrates the most accurate story of the Mexican independence, and it's really good. One of my mother's sisters, Carmen, whom probably some of you met, well, no, we are too young, I see any young people. She took over the well-known art and material bookstore named El Colibri. It used to belong to my godmother, Doña Carmen Masip, who is another emblem in the San Miguel de Allende history, but I have very few minutes left. Before I moved back to San Miguel de Allende, I was living in Santa Rosa, California, working for the county as a counselor for the Latino community. Once a week, I gave a workshop and designed a booklet with ideas to help them find a job, build their resume, what to expect in an interview, etc. It was a moving and inspirational experience to be able to help them with their search, and above all, to give them hope and them to believe in themselves by learning a new skill or mastering what they already knew. In November of 2008, I came back to help my mom with her hotel business. Thankful for her trust in continuing with her business, it has been a challenging experience. Nevertheless, it has been an enriching one. Thanks to a filmmaker and screenwriter whom I met a few years ago, I got the idea of writing a book of the untold story of the Mexican woman of the Revolution of 1910. This has become my passion and my calling. Thank you, members of the Rotary Club, to have given us women the opportunity to share with you a glimpse of our life. Thank you.
That was wonderful, all three of you. Wonderful. Now we're going to go into the second part of our presentation, and thank you, ladies, for keeping it to 5 minutes. The second part is going to be a conversation between the three of them. Cynthia's favorite topic, she mentioned it a few times, and that is empowerment, which means a lot, especially to women, not only in our community, but to women all over the world. Sometimes I feel that this year, 2022, with all that's happening in the world, is really the year of the woman. I mean, think about it in terms of Ukraine and a lot of the dynamics in the United States and places like, and always in Mexico. It's the year of the woman, I think. So here's the question. And to tell you the truth, they only got the question late last night.
Yes.
So they woke up in the morning and how did owning a business empower you as a woman? And now we're going to discover some things about these three ladies that they may or may not want to talk about. Each one has, good morning, darling. How each one has dealt with a lot of adversity in their lives. That's part of the empowerment, because I do believe personally that adversity makes you into a stronger person. And there's probably nobody in this room, and I don't want to embarrass her, that has had more struggles in the last year than my friend Paulina. Paulina, why don't you talk about empowerment, and you'll have a few minutes to talk about it. And then Fran will talk, and then Cynthia will talk, okay?
For me, is you sacrifice a lot of time, but by not being with your family, but your satisfaction is great when you achieve your goals and improve the lives of many by creating jobs. It's my
So by creating jobs, there is a
it's
sense
the other
of,
part, because you sacrifice time that you are not being with your family. It's
right,
different.
right.
I don't know if the person that was here think the same or.
I was talking to her this morning about, and there's a video out there about her daughter, who's 8 years old. This girl is going to be the next Serena Williams. I was telling Tony. I mean, she's hitting the ball like, forget it. Those of you who play tennis, unbelievable. So Paulina manages to make being a mother a priority. Fran, you want to comment on empowerment?
Yeah. Okay, empowerment. When I read your question, I mean, that's not what you sent me, like how have a business empowered me as a woman? I was like, I was already empowered. I mean, I don't want to play with the question, but and that I started to think like, thank you, my father and my mother. My father already passed 10 years ago, and my mother is still alive, but he really showed me so many things. Like, he never treated me differently, like, you know, like, he was not this macho Mexican, like, no, you woman. No, he was always like, you can do it, you can do it, you can do this. And since very little, he was bringing me to swim in the pool before they go to school, like at 6 in the morning. Like, yeah, we go and swim and things like that. It was not never like, oh, you are a little girl. And no, he was just like, you have power. And so I think that as woman, they have a man as father, like, because we know in Mexico, we have this culture is very macho, no? He was not a macho at all. He was a gentleman. He was always respectful with my mom. He was, until his last day, he died with cancer, but he was very sick and he was still open the door to my mom in the car, you know, things like that. So I think it's something that you grown up with, like, you know. And then I remember one of my first jobs in Mexico City, I was selling Audi cars. I was one of the first sellers in all the country to Audi. So when Audi, the German cars came to Mexico, no one knew what was Audi. And I was just 18 and I was the youngest one for that team. And I realized the men, they were winning more money than the woman. And I was just like, why? What? You know, like, we do the same. I work the same hours. So I did that job for a few years, but then I get like, I mean, I was the one that was selling more cars. So even if they were winning more, I was making more commission. But so I think learning lessons, like hard lessons, like struggles that we all have in our lives. I learned I have a power just because be a human being and be a woman. It's not like something outside give me power. I'm power, they create things outside. I don't know if that has sense.
Very clear.
Thank you.
Cynthia, I know this is very close to your heart, women's empowerment. I'm not going to say another word. Go ahead.
No, what do you think?
Terry will remind me, it's not my day. It's your day.
Well, empowerment, it does not come automatically from owning a business or having a staff. So I think it takes hard work, taking risks, and believing in yourself and not backing down to when las pedradas empiezan a llegar. Well, so it's
The rainy season.
So to me, that's empowerment, short and sweet. It just get over it and just keep going. That's to me empowerment. Thank you.
Paulina, did you want to comment on anything that Fran or quiere comentar?
Felicitarlas porque somos de San Miguel y todos somos de San Miguel, parte de San Miguel, y coincidir desde diferentes trincheras. San Miguel somos ese corazón grande que recibimos a todos y nos encanta que se sientan parte de San Miguel, ¿no? Llega cultura, llegan mentes más abiertas, llegan y aportan a la ciudad porque aman la ciudad. Entonces somos respetuosos de las tradiciones, de limpiar la ciudad, de conocernos y de que también la gente de la ciudad los tratemos bien, porque también tenemos eso de ser muy cerrados, no sé si coincides conmigo, de los que nos conocemos con los que llegan de fuera y hacerlos parte de, ¿no? Yo creo que todos ustedes aportan algo, así como la comunidad de Rotary, como lo mencioné, le han dejado muchísimo a todas las comunidades rurales, no es porque esté Kili ni David Bosman, pero han contribuido mucho a que San Miguel, siendo de los 46 municipios de San Miguel de Allende, de Guanajuato, tenga, Terry no está acá, pero más de 100 ONGs. Eso es algo increíble. Entonces, creo que hay mucho que presumir y mucho camino todavía que hacer, pero una ciudad muy ejemplar cuando hay comunidad y cuando hay un proyecto que convence, y creo que el ejemplo arrastra. Felicidades, Terry, y a todos.
Okay, before we go on, there are some people, I told you she spoke fast in her native language. Terry, you want to just translate very briefly what Paulina?
Well, basically what Paulina was saying was that she was congratulating the other women that were up there for doing what they do. But she also said that San Miguel is just a very special community. And sometimes she feels that Mexicans maybe are a little closed off And we need to learn to open up to the expat community because we do such wonderful things. And together, we'll do even more.
Okay, and with that, we'll turn to the audience questions because we're on a time schedule. I wish we had more time for this intercambio. Terry has all the questions, so
Okay.
Senora Kavanaugh will take over.
Creo que la primera pregunta es para ti, Pau, es de Paula Juárez. What is the best advice you could give to young women who are thinking about joining a typical male-dominated industry?
I wonder what they could be.
¿Quieres o te lo digo en español?
Si quieres.
Okay. ¿Quieres saber qué nos puedes dar a mujeres jóvenes que están pensando en trabajar en una área pues donde los hombres dominan?
Yo creo que es muy importante que una mujer sienta seguridad y alimentar nosotras todos los días el respeto, pedir respeto, porque no traer falda o traer un vestido, traer un escote o una niña permite que un hombre falte. Hay que marcar una línea. Tenemos la misma capacidad para todo, no la fuerza, pero sí un corazón muy grande. Entonces, tener una seguridad y siempre tenemos ese sexto sentido de darle las cosas que caben más, ¿no? Entonces, una mujer creo que estamos a la par con un hombre, estamos hombro a hombro para hacer más. Ni el hombre es más, ni la mujer es más. También nosotros saber respetar a él y trabajar en conjunto. Yo sería más de inteligencia. A ver, ¿qué me puedes ayudar tú para sumar y lograr un objetivo? Pero que sientan mucha seguridad las chicas de secundaria, de preparatoria, de universidad. El respeto es común para todos. Y una vez que tú tengas seguridad donde te plantes a pedir trabajo, que veas a los ojos y que digas que te den una oportunidad para desarrollarte, porque muchas veces dicen, ¿qué experiencia tienes? Permíteme demostrarte mis talentos.
Okay, I'm going to try. If not, Nori will jump in. Basically, what she was saying is that you need to be prepared. You need to study. You need to make sure that you know what you're doing. And you need to respect. Not only does she need to demand respect, but she needs to respect the male community as well. And let them know that they can work together. And more than anything, what I got from her is show them her talent. And so we need to show our talents and we will gain that respect from them.
Gracias, Terry.
Thank you. We've got 6 minutes left. Terry, you want to ask the next question?
Okay. Next question. And it could be answered by Cynthia or Francine, or maybe both. It's from Tom Schneider. Do you think being a woman gave you special qualities that made adapting to the challenges the pandemic brought businesses and the community?
I mean, I don't know if it's a difference between be a woman or man to be sensitive enough to care about others.
Yeah.
Because I know many men that care about others. So I don't think it's a gender thing. In the pandemic, I mean, it was in the pandemic, the question, right? Like we closed 4 months Paprika and we were staying paying rent and all that. And I consider myself very creative. So I started to like, okay, what I need to do. So I started to make pies at home and selling and deliver and food and all that, no? And then I started our own channel for sound healing for free. We were with all people around the world, like musicians for sound healing. We were connecting with people like they were hosting our sound healing, different spaces like Casa Angelitos. We were creating these, like we were, okay, we are in the pandemic, but we need to continue to create things for the community. And then when we reopened, we started to make the shows just with my phone and streaming the concerts. It was no one there. No one was there, just the musician and the camera. And we started to transmit online, on Facebook and sharing all around the groups in town. And people start to donate to the musicians, to Paprika, like, you know, we cannot go out, but send you $10 for the musicians and things like that. So for me, it was a beautiful, it was a very hard experience for all what the pandemic causes, but I think also in each moment in life when you have a situation like that is also an opportunity to create solutions. I think like each problem have like 200 solutions or even more. Yeah, and you?
You said it all.
Yeah, it's like this.
Well, I have a question that can be directed to you, Cynthia. Despite a great deal of progress, women and girls continue to face discrimination and violence in every part of the world. Can you share a personal experience and how you overcame?
Wow, who's asking that question?
Someone online.
Online.
Wow.
Powerful question, huh?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't want to talk about a personal experience. I think that's
Personal.
Yeah.
Personal.
But in that subject, I would love for San Miguel to give our policemen better training, psychological training, and also, more educated in a sense of how to protect themselves and protect the citizens. So to me, that's a very, very important subject. So I don't want to go too deep into that. And if there is any way we can help or cooperate or help the city with this training, psychological, I think it's our security as women, going back to being women, is utmost important. But if they don't have that much training, I think it's a vicious circle. So we have to start with education. That's my idea. So thank you.
And I'm glad you mentioned that because, with my involvement in security, on our site, one gentleman, it's not important the name, a driver volunteered his services to women in San Miguel, and other men began stepping up. So I think men, talking as a man, are becoming more sensitive to the fact that it's not just a matter of protecting our women, it's a matter of being a community and working together. We all have a role. And it's not just our wives and our daughters, but the other women in our community. We have here a good way to finish up, a nice surprise. Rosanna, our friend, is here. She's going to kill me for putting on a spot. Rosanna is one of the champions.
Right.
Via Organica, most of you know her one way or another. A wonderful husband, Roger Jones. Rosanna, did you want to say anything about empowerment of women or how it relates and tie this whole thing together?
You should have sent me the question.
In English, por favor.
Just in case you come. Well, first of all, I want to congratulate you all for inviting these beautiful women that are such a beautiful matter for our local people. And I enjoy being with a combination of people because we are one world, and people from all over, right? Well, I gotta say that when I grew up, at the beginning, when my mother started giving me shorts, jobs, I was around 9, 10. I had smaller siblings, and she always said, "You're gonna be in charge of making food." Something. And you go to the market, because my mother used to sell clothing. And I say, okay, how do you do it? Well, just go to this lady. She owes me for some clothing and she sells chicken. So I go, okay. So I was a little shaky at the beginning. But after so many times, you build up your secure, your self-esteem, your confidence. And it felt very comfortable to me to be with people, to be, I didn't have fear to go and charge people for what they owe my mother. And she used to go out there when I was in junior high. I was all there, I could cook better. So then my father, my great grandmother only wanted to go when my mother was gone to Mexico City to sell her clothing. And I'm like, okay. And my great grandmother was blind. So you have to like really listen and open up your senses to understand what she wanted. And she's like, yeah, you make very good chocolate. I want you to make the chocolate. And nobody, she says, nobody else. I want you to make the chocolate. And back then, there was the molcajete, no blender, and maybe a clay pot. In San Miguel, we grew up with a very rich food community with food. There was no big supermarkets. So that stayed in my blood, understanding how you can survive with what's produced here in your town, that you don't need so much. And then later in life, so I became very responsible with the family. And then I started looking for little jobs outside of my house. Like I work at the library. I work at a dentist office. I was, 18? And from there, and then high school came and time to go out at night for dancing, disco. To shake out a little bit of that responsibility that we had. We used to skate school sometimes, Wednesdays for going dancing in the evening because I was in the afternoon class, the first generation in junior high first. So after all of that, I meet Roger, my great husband. He's a wonderful supporter. And I think you are empowered with what you learn and what you are growing with. When you are open to situations and learn how to solve situations, see alternatives of getting solutions, not to say like, oh, this happened to me and get involved into the problem and all the time problem and bring this weight into yourself. You just go, no, let's do it in another way, So I meet, I don't know what I was saying. I meet Roger and then he knows me. We come from very similar lifestyles. His mom was also a merchant, as well as my mom. We came from a low income family, low media. We had food on the table every day, so that was important, education. And so we had a lot of things in common. And he loves women. So he always goes like this with women, like, I know you are the best, I know you are incredible, to any women.
Yes.
And at one point when I saw him, and I keep looking at women, like talking hours with women, I'm like, I'm here with you. And I'm like, what are you doing now? Who's that? He said, the day I start looking at beauty, I start looking at you. He said, so let me look, I can look, no problem. I said, okay. So then we started building up our own business. And I learned so much from him because I didn't speak English I understood a little bit. Lee knows me for since 35 years. I was just 2 years married and we were in the same kind of business, the arts and crafts.
Right.
So I was picking up, I was open to learn this American life, the language at first. I couldn't understand the language in its language. Like, what do they mean? Like, sit over there, in Mexico, it's more like, could you please? No, we go around things to not be so direct. You don't offend people. But for me, about 5 years was really hard to understand how things work, but I was open to that. And I think that's what makes you grow, what makes you empowered to just experience, to have, to open up your heart and yourself. And after that, after being with Roger for 16 years, selling products all over the United States, since we sell jewelry, t-shirts, sweaters, and then we went up to decoration things. I pick up a lot from people, like the beauty of each person, because I think in each heart, there is very, maybe little things that people have that can show you. You just to be open to that. So, yeah, there is it. So then later, when we built our house, I was like, this house is too big for me. And Roger kept going to the United States to sell crafts. So then I got pregnant when I had this little baby, Isabella. And I said, what am I gonna do with this girl here in this big house? It's way too much. This is not the kind of house I want. After growing in a small house, And so I took advantage of it and I say, maybe renting one room. I saw some hippies on the streets carrying a backpack and I go, excuse me, because I'm always very aware, like I'm looking out. and I say, are you looking for a room? Yeah. Why are you talking? No, don't be afraid of me. I have a baby. I said, come to my house. I have one room. It's not completely finished, but come in. I rent it. So they say, yeah, sure. So they stay 2 days with us. I charge 300 pesos. And then I say, where are you from there? From Ann Arbor, Michigan. And I said, my husband is doing a show in Ann Arbor, Michigan, in this corner here. Go and look for him. And he will give you a job. He will give you a job. And you start there because they were really young, younger than me. So Roger gave him a job. And as a result, the guy was a jeweler from Tasco. Wow. So then my Roger said, why don't you start your own business here? I can help you how to get a booth. Because that's what we did all our 16 years on the road looking for shows. And so Roger gave him a job and then they got the booth the next year. And like that, it's always open up for experiences. And when I stay home with my baby, because we couldn't have babies for a long time, once she's born, I'm like, I need to do something else. So 10 years I was in the house doing the breakfast and cleaning, and I had somebody helping me. And then I thought, then my friends from organic customers came to San Miguel, and they were our guests for 5 years. And we got to know each other. They asked me many questions about food here in San Miguel. And I grew up with original food for local, verdolagas, quelites, huevo, whatever, no? So I said, what do you mean? And then they're like, yeah, like organic. And I'm like, I understand about organic, but because I live in Colorado and I understood, but I didn't know what they meant. And they said, well, this global warming and contamination and glyphosate. And I'm like, what is that? I started reading a lot. So I got invited to them to start a business on the Via Organica. So I'm a co-founder now, and it's been 13 years. So that's just a short story of our life. And I really appreciate all the women that just get open to try and to learn. Because learning, we never finish learning, so.
To tell everybody here, we can't assume, especially one or two of our visitors, where Via Organica is now, so that they know it. It's a wonderful place to visit.
Well, we stayed in Guadalupe for 10 years, and then we moved for several reasons because we were already working in the farm. There was no water, we were growing already vegetables. But we decided we should go. We worked with an administration 3 years in ¿A dónde se cambiaron? Sí, entonces we were 3 years and then we don't have no land to work on. So we decided, I had a piece of land in Jalpan. So we moved in El Membrillo. It's about 9 kilometers towards Jalpan. And that's where the restaurant is and a little store. And now we do a lot of workshops, mostly workshops on a small gardening, like grow your own food. And we want to create like a day where people that want to be with their hands on the soil come regularly and learn one thing, to learn how to grow, or just, even if you don't grow, I don't grow anything. Because there's many people that grow stuff.
So anybody can go out there at any time. They don't need an appointment.
No, it's open, it's via organica.org. It's just,
Right.
on the website and go whenever you want. And it's open 9 to 6.
Gracias, Rosanna.
Right.
For all of us. I just wanted to thank Diego, as always, who also is a swimming teacher. Ron Felton, of course. We couldn't do it without our beloved secretary, and of course, Terry Carroll.
All right. I want to thank our guests for joining us today. Francine, Cynthia, and Paulina for being our guest speakers today and doing an amazing program. We have something for you, and I think we'll post it up here on the screen. I think you can do that. Can you do that, Ron? Look what we have here from Rotary. Midday Rotary Club of San Miguel de Allende presents this certificate of appreciation to each one of you for your presentation to our club. A donation of 10 polio immunizations will be made in your honor to the End Polio Now campaign. And we thank you for being here. Appreciate it very much. Thank you all for attending. And immediately after this meeting, we will commence a transition meeting. Thank you all for attending. This meeting's adjourned.